Can you tell me the absolute worst phrase that you could hear as a young person that puts on the pressure?
The first thing that came into my mind was keep it up.
Ooh, how so?
Keep it up. In its own is an expectation. I did so great on this test. Keep it up. Oh, I always have to put the same amount of effort in. I always have to get the same grade. Keep it up. That burns any kid out.
Hello, Danny Lemoine, my former lovely student. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Are you 23 years old now?
I am turning 23 in the spring.
All right. So I taught you grade 6, 7, and in the math. And I asked you to speak to me today because I'm trying to dig into student experience, youth experience more. So today with you, turning 23-year-old lovely woman, I want to talk to you about why youth, so teenagers, but also young adults, are crumbling under the pressure of achievement. And I want your opinions as a young person of how parents can support youth dreams without pressure and making youth feel that they're never enough. So that's our goal today. Let's first start about you though. I want you to tell me about you in terms of maybe your upbringing and how you came across to other people. That's my question. Can you tell me about you? And I want to know your experiences at school, but also in that how you came across to other people, because I think that's really important for your story.
I really presented myself as this person that was calm and collected and cool, but also I had to have, this outward persona that people really could see and validate myself and sort of my internal struggle. Like I dressed up, I had flowers in my hair, I wanted to look like the prim, proper girl. And I think that was just a validating mechanism for anyone with perfectionism, with, people who care what others think of them or who seek that external validation. I've since, changed a bit, but I still have those tendencies. And I think that that's just a coping mechanism of mine. I currently try and be a little bit more open and laid back and not care as much of what people think. But back then, I didn't have the foresight to sort of navigate what that meant and how it didn't really matter what other people saw.
So I was thinking about you and your shoes. So I did never call it grade 7 graduation, as we were just saying. I abhor that idea. That's another story. But we were doing the practice. We were doing the practice for the ceremony. And remember, you brought your high heel shoes for the practice?
Yes, of course.
You had like the highest shoes I've ever seen.
Yes, I vividly remember they were beautiful shoes. I got them special for the occasion because it was my farewell ceremony, and I wanted to look the prettiest and the most poised and calm and collected, and so I had to have these big, beautiful shoes.
They were nice. The reason I'm starting off with that question is because that's what I really recall about you is you presented so well. But the other thing, you didn't say this, is that you are very intelligent. And I remember in grade 7, I believe it was Harvard University. You remember that? Your sights were on Harvard. I'm like, whoa, cowgirl, cowboy cowgirl. Just you having that aspiration when you were so young. So I still want to talk more about you first, because I think it's really important to understand then the lead up to later. But you were a perfectionist. Can you tell me what drove that? Like, why'd you want to go to Harvard when you were 12 years old?
What, a 12-year-old wanting to go to Harvard? It wasn't just Harvard. I had Princeton and Yale up there too.
Okay. All right.
I think that it was a way of proving that I could do it. Like, whoa, well, it validates your intelligence if you're able to if you're able to get into the best school. It says, hey, this person is worthy, this person is deserving, this person, can do it with the best of them, can, make the best of their situation. And I think that was sort of what I was seeking, was that extreme validation from school and from the academic system. And that was based on, receiving good grades, receiving praise for my intelligence, this, giftedness. And then I was like, oh, well, I want more of that. This makes me feel worthy. This makes me feel whole. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to be, at the best, I literally Googled, I distinctly remember Googling top universities
Yeah.
and being like, I want to go to that one. I want to go to that one. And anything less than like number 5 in the world, I was like, not good enough for me.
Right. Well, and I remember that so distinctly about you. So we're setting the stage here. So you came across as all put together. You are extremely beautiful. You are extremely intelligent, and it was a message that you walked into school with for sure. Fair enough to say that.
Absolutely.
Now, go
It was
ahead.
a front. I think that I built for myself.
Now, this is your story. I always say this. This is your story. What do you want to tell us about what you were going through at the time on the inside that people and teachers and students and the adults around you, except probably your mother, didn't know about?
I think that at that, like I was just saying, that age was such a crucial time. I was like, there was so much trauma that was going on behind the scenes in my life. I had, loss of loved ones, all these different sort of abuses that were inflicted. And
Hmm.
I then used school as a way of taking control of my life, as a way of presenting this person and creating this persona. And I think that there was just so much going on behind the scenes that I could almost leave it behind at school. Like I could be this different
Yeah.
person. I could escape.
You are saying exactly what I learned in my research at the psych unit where I went after I taught you, is that school becomes your safe haven, right? You can go there,
Yeah.
life is normal, your home life nobody knows about, you can be normal at school, and everybody sees you in a
Yes.
different light.
I think it can definitely be that. On the flip side, it can also be a place where, you then seek validation, and then it becomes a very unsafe place. It becomes just as unsafe as at home.
Right. Totally.
But
Totally.
there's a bit of both. Like at first it was like, oh, I'm a different person. Nobody knows. I can be whoever I want to be. But then once you become addicted to that validation, those A pluses, like receiving A pluses means that I'm worthy, means that I'm good. That's
Hmm.
addicting. And then it becomes this maladaptive behavior where, oh, feels really good. I can be better, and then it becomes a toxic place.
That's a good way to put it. That's really, I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. The toxicity of that.
Hmm. It can be both.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah, it can be both. I actually have a friend, I'm going to interview her next week about, she was a model for 10 years in Europe. And she said to me, she absolutely could put on a facade at school, and that's where she could be normal. And she also was really pretty. So she could hide behind that. And everybody thinks that you're okay.
Hmm.
Happens a lot. Okay, I want
Yeah.
to actually, before we launch into this whole thing about this toxicity of our achievement culture and expectations, I actually have a question for you to speak for your generation on. So no pressure, no pressure.
For
But I'm
sure.
wondering if you can tell me what you see that your generation right now, where they're at in terms of maybe their mental health and expectations, either from the world on them or them on themselves. Like, can you give me like 2 minutes or less what you see within your peer group, your generation, and your Gen Z, right?
Yes. I think that our generation is one of the first that had a lot of awareness about mental health and
Mm-hmm.
awareness about, stigma around that. So I think we are in a unique position that, oh, we can talk about this. Like it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
readily part of our conversation. So I think that's like a huge change in the right direction that impacts us. But I think that it also is letting us identify that, hey, this is going on. I do need support for this. I do need help. Maybe I do have depression. I do have anxiety. ADHD is so common. I think in a lot of my classes that I'm currently taking in nursing school, I we have the conversations like, oh yeah, I have ADHD. Oh yeah, I have anxiety. we talk about it a lot more. We're
Mm-hmm.
open with it, but there's a lot more diagnoses like swarming around, you know? There's a like I would say at least over half the class has ADHD, just that have like been open about it and talked about it
Right.
and communicated that with me. So I think that while we're talking about it more, there is a lot of like labeling that comes out of that, you know, like, oh yeah, I identify with that. And so we're more open, but we definitely are noticing that we're experiencing so many different things from social media, from, you know, these traumas of our past. We can identify them, and there's just an overabundance of mental illness that is affecting us.
Well, so there's research too that came out in 2018 that as of like research showing from the early 2010s that mental health
Hmm.
disorders have so much as doubled around like around the world globally
Yeah.
in your generation in Gen Z. I'm curious to know how much is like diagnosed versus having
Yeah.
it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. For
there's a
sure.
lot of diagnosing going on without ruling out, say, trauma, without
Hmm.
ruling out anxiety for an ADHD diagnosis, or without ruling out inattention for an anxiety disorder. But that's a whole other discussion. Can you tell me about
Yeah.
expectation in your generation? Like when I say to you the word expectation, what do you
I
feel around you within your perceptions of yourselves or how others place it on you?
I think that for me personally, like if you want to know about expectations, you ask a perfectionist because that's all we know. We live in them, we die under them, you know. It's just this constant weight on your shoulders is what I think of when I hear expectation. It's like, yeah, it's this thing that I feel. It's literally, I feel it in my body, on my shoulders all the time of like, you have to do the best. You have to be this. You have to be this. You have to be the prettiest. You have to be the
Hmm.
skinniest. You have to be the smartest. You have to,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think these things they're not new for my generation by any means. They've been going on for forever, but I think that I I think that school specifically perpetuates these expectations, these academic, you know, academic goals, and then also the media. You see perfection all the time. You're bombarded with the
Mm-hmm.
perfect life, the perfect workout, you know, and then you expect that of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's something that you said it, you're bombarded. Like when I was growing up, 30 years, I'm 53, so I'm 30 years older than you. I remember like magazines and maybe some TV shows, but you get it 24/7 across the board, whether you're on
Mm.
your screen, your iPad, still on the TV, still, well, probably not paper magazines anymore, but it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that?
Unlike I don't know, 99% of my population, I do not use social media. I am off of all of it. I can't stand it. I can't look at it. It really impacts my mental health. So what I've done
Great.
is I delete it all. I'm the only person I know my age that can say that. I don't have any peers at all that don't use social media. I'm very much so the odd one out, but it's it is a way of protecting my sanity because I already have all these perfectionistic tendencies, all these expectations that
Mm-hmm.
seeing it on my phone, like in my relaxing time when I'm, you know, getting home, throwing on, you know, just wanting to, you know, melt my brain away, getting bombarded with more expectations and more, you're not doing it as well as she is, you know? Oh, she does her makeup better than you. You know, you really compare, and especially among women, I think that social media can really have these expectations. So that's how I cope with it. But a lot of people I know, they do use social media. They have found a way to balance it. They've found a way to create that equilibrium. And I hope
Mm-hmm.
one day I'll be able to use it as a tool. Right now, my way of coping with it is to completely ignore it.
You know, you're becoming a nurse, so you don't need it. Like I've said, if you don't need it, don't do it. And any public
Yes.
servant does not need to be in social media. Stay off. Okay,
Yeah.
you told me a story of somebody that will be unnamed that was teaching you. around our time, you were struggling with mental health. And I know you were open about anxiety. And do you remember the
Mhm.
pressure that was put on you? And I was wondering if you can tell me about that situation of this pressure that was placed on you. And it was those times, those years that you were really having a tough time.
I put those expectations on myself. However, there are like outside forces, but I think the main thing that the outside forces did was they praised accomplishment. They praised
Yeah.
achievement. And that is what then you take it, you internalize that and you say, "Oh, I did something good and I was rewarded for it. I must be this to be worthy of more praise, to be good enough." So having been told like, "Oh, you did such a good job, you got all A's, you're 90% in everything," then if I go and I take a test and I don't understand the material, I'm not grasping it, I get like a 70 or I'm not able to answer the question, I am like, "Oh, well, I failed. I'm not worthy enough anymore. I'm not good enough anymore because they've told me that, oh, you're so good, you're so smart, because I did this behavior." It was always, "Oh, because you got 90s, you're smart," as opposed to, you're smart because you know how to talk to people, you know how to communicate, you know how to learn, how to evaluate, how to critical think. It was always like, "You got a 90, you're so smart."
I want to pause right there. I'm looking at my questions I've prepared and we're going to wait on those because we're going to like stop right there, Danny.
Okay.
I want to go back to what you just said because I think that is pivotal for parents and educators to understand. So, what you're
Hmm.
describing is you were praised for your results,
Yeah.
how you performed. You were not praised for your process.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, can you add on a little bit that I'm wanting to have parents have tangible ideas like how do we avoid the toxicity of achievements?
I think that it came from educators, from teachers of mine, from parents, from all of these outside forces that said, "Wow, oh, you're really smart. My daughter is so smart," or "This class, the
Mm-hmm.
student of mine is really smart because, she got 100% on this test." Or she's reading at a grade 6 level and she's in grade 4. Or she's reading at a grade 10 level and she's in grade 6. And I remember being so competitive that it turned into competitiveness. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I'm reading at a grade 10 level. Ooh, what are you reading at?" Like,
Yeah.
and then you build off of that. And then suddenly, like, "Oh, if someone else was smart, it fuels you. Someone else is reading at a grade 10 level too. Okay, let me get to grade 12 so then I can outperform them." Talking about achievements instead of talking about processes and these core,
Mm-hmm.
like my beliefs and my values, talking about my achievements then allowed me to compare them to other. Like if you told me,
Yeah.
"Oh, you get 90s or hundreds," and then I compared them with other people, well, I'm like, "Oh, well, other people get hundreds, so I should get better than that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I should get 110%. I should give 110%." Or as opposed to if someone was like, "Oh, like the way that you solved this problem, you really used critical thinking," or "You really, I love that your value system was so focused on empathy." Maybe that's a big one
Mm-hmm.
for me, really focusing on my empathy and my care for other people. And so they could have said something like that. They could have said like, "Oh yeah, like the way you did this presentation, you really focused on that." Not, "Oh, you got 100%, but also so did this other group. So now I'm fueled to be better than 100%. Now I'm fueled to give more, to be better, to
Yeah.
be smarter and stronger."
You're
If
describing
that sort of makes sense.
the the adults in the room that are creating the toxicity of this achievement culture. Because when we get
Mhm.
so focused on the end point, then if you don't, first of all, get that end point, that devalues you. There drops the
Mhm.
self-worth. And like you just said, it becomes the competition that I mean, competition I think is good to an extent, but almost what you're describing is toxic, right? With how
Yeah,
much that did
for
to you.
sure. I think that knowing other people's grades is not a sustainable a sustainable teaching method.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that other people scored more points than you, even if it's in like a game or like a sports, like knowing that they have however many goals and you only had this many, and comparing that, using that to evaluate learners and children, really it quantifies it when we need to qualify their work. Like,
Yeah.
oh, the technique you used, that was really cool. As opposed to, well, you got this out of this. Like a percent, a number, it's just labeling that gets so far internalized that
Yeah.
you become those numbers.
Oh, that's really good. I'm going to quote you. I'm going to quote you on some slides. Absolutely. It's qualitating, like how you actually went about this versus the numbers at the end. Tell me what, when you were struggling, when you pictured, like think back to those years that were so hard for you. What did you need the most from all the adults around you? Parents, your friends' parents, educators, coaches, anybody who was of legal age. What did you need the most?
I think I needed people to see me.
Okay.
I needed them to see really deep into what was going on. Like, just everything I was doing was a cry for help.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it went unnoticed to the point that, not that I needed a savior or someone needed to come in and rescue me, but I think that if someone was watching my behaviors, they could have noticed that, hey, this person is actually really struggling. So I know that's
Mm-hmm.
very basic. It's very simple. As you need someone to see, you need someone to understand what's going on. But I think
Mm-hmm.
if more people were like, hey, there's something going on here. Why is she wearing 6-inch heels? Why all the time, like regularly? Why is she always presenting this put together facade?
Yeah.
Or why is she so emotionally invested in her grades? Why is this make such a big reaction? Why is she, just look, if I wish someone looked further into my actions and been like, what is driving this? What is going on that makes her feel like she has to do this? And to some extent they did, like my mother recognized that she saw a lot of herself in me
Mm.
and she did the same behaviors. And so I was able to access some supports through that. But I think in general, if more people just took the time to really think through what was going on and what
Mm-hmm.
was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's good. It's that idea that you have to stop and know that you don't know what's going on in
Hmm.
that person's life because we always assume. And I think the big
Yeah.
thing is somebody who is put together, who looks great, who is super smart, who gets the A's, who has the best shoes in the whole school, right? To not assume that everything is that package that you see. And then that allows you to ask the questions, to
Hmm.
maybe see and hear and understand that person.
Yeah. But I mean, that's hard to ask of someone, you have people to worry about by people who reach out, people that
Yeah.
ask for help. Those people you need to worry about. But now you also have to worry about the people who seem totally fine. And maybe you have to worry about those people more
Yeah.
because they can't ask for help.
Yeah, for sure. I listen, for me as a teacher, I feel that that's number one, though. I feel that the social emotional welfare of somebody in front of you is more than the curriculum. That's another
As,
discussion. Can you tell me the difference between being supportive? I want you to do well. If you want to become a doctor, you can become a doctor, and pressure. Can you identify? Because everybody wants the best for their kids. Everybody wants the best for anybody in front of them that they're helping raise or building up. There's support and there's pressure.
it's a very fine line to walk. I think that I didn't have necessarily a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pressure I put on myself. I was fortunate that, like my parents didn't care what I did. They just wanted me to be happy, and that's amazing. But I internalized their approvals of
Mm.
things that made me draw the conclusions that, hey, academic pursuits. Oh, okay. What is the top academic pursuit? Oh, I could be a lawyer. It's not thrilling enough. I need to be a doctor.
Yeah.
That's the top that I can get. So no one was ever like, you should be a doctor. You're so smart. It was, you're so smart. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I guess maybe I should be a doctor,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so balancing what is supportiveness of like, I think what is supportiveness versus pressure? I think that you have to go back to our earlier conversation about walking the line of you as a person are aligned to nurturing and to helping, as opposed to you are very smart and successful. And then I could make the decision that maybe a nurse is better suited to my personality, but I was
Hmm.
just getting such good grades that they were like, go all the way, become a doctor. So I think that it starts with supporting the person as a whole instead of supporting their achievement.
Can you tell me the absolute worst phrase that you could hear as a young person that puts on the pressure? Think catchphrase, or the
Um,
worst thing that was said to you.
the first thing that came into my mind was keep it up,
Ooh, how so?
keep it up. I think that really is just that is in its own is an expectation that,
Mm-hmm.
I did so great on this test, keep it up, right?
Right.
Oh, I always have to put the same amount of effort in. I always have to get the same grade, keep it up, keep my
Mm-hmm.
grades up, keep everything at 100% all the time. Like that burns any kid out. Keep it up, keep it up, you know?
Can you tell me the best thing to say that drops the pressure? Catchphrase?
I find myself sort of telling myself and learning that I wish was told to me then is like, you're loved for who you are.
Yeah.
You're loved for you. I love you for being you. There's
Mm-hmm.
no quantification that needs to happen,
Mm-hmm.
I don't love you for this reason. I love you because you're you.
Just because of you.
Yeah.
Well, it
Just
gives you
just for who
freedom.
you are.
It gives a lot
Yeah.
of freedom because then you can mess up too. It's okay if you fail a test.
Exactly.
I love you no matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Yeah. I
good,
think
Danny. I always do 3 wrap-up questions to take us back to this goal at looking like what is this toxicity of our achievement culture and how can parents try to alleviate that? Here's my first question for you. So you are now 22 years old. You have decided not to go to Harvard Medical. You're in nursing school, which I think I'm really proud of you for that you made that decision of what's best for your own well-being, right?
mhm.
And you're on this trajectory now with a lot of open doors for later. What though right now in this moment would you tell to the 13-year-old self that I taught about maybe your dreams and your achievement and what actually matters?
I would tell that little girl that I should follow my heart. I know that's so cheesy. Follow your heart. But I think my heart was sort of corrupted by other influences that I couldn't
Mm,
really understand what it is that I wanted and what is my passion. I think that if I could go back, I would tell her to learn to listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your mind, but listen to like what your body is telling you, what feels right, what do you enjoy, and follow that instead of following out what I think I should do, because that would have altered my path considerably. Maybe instead of what I think I should do or what I think will serve me best, just follow what my body, my mind, my soul is telling me to do instead of what just like this anxiety, this monster that lives in your head.
hmm.
Don't listen to it. Listen to what's in here.
That's though a powerful thing then for parents to know to tell their kids versus all
Mm-hmm.
the things that you're supposed to be doing and that the society around us says you're supposed to do. And I want to just do a side note. Your school that you went to before you moved to the interior is a very high achieving area, right? I had doctors and lawyers and CEOs as parents in the classroom. So you were in this cesspool of
Mm-hmm.
achievement culture and expectation. It was all around you.
Absolutely. And it started even way before grade school. I was in like Montessori after school care for like preschool,
Mm,
and it started
mm-hmm.
then. They were already quantifying my reading age. Oh, she's ahead of the game, and it just
Right.
kept going of
Yeah.
like seeing these influential, powerful people getting that messaging that,
Yeah.
success is way up here when success is whatever makes you happy.
Question number 2. If you could sit down with the parents of a teenager who was high achieving, like you were, and
Mm.
struggling like you were, what is the one thing that you would want them to understand about what their teenager actually needs? The one piece that they need to get.
They need unconditional love. That's a fundamental basic, but
Mm-hmm.
unconditional love. Because when you start rewarding specific behaviors, they learn the pattern of if I do this, then this happens. I'm loved if I do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worthy if I do this, as opposed to unconditionally. If you
Yeah.
fail a test, I love you just as much. If you work, making sandwiches for the rest of your life, I love you just as much. You don't have to be the top game. You don't have to prove yourself. There's nothing to prove. You're loved unconditionally. I think that is the main takeaway that parents should demonstrate to their high achieving
Yeah.
kids.
Absolutely. You're kind of outlining why I absolutely hate the idea of giving money for letter grades. I hate it.
Mm,
Like, you get this letter grade, I'm going to give you this much money. I think it's exactly kind of the contrary of what you've just said, right? Because now we're putting a condition
yeah.
on how you've done and
And then
versus that process.
yeah. And then it's also equating work with like success. So, you're
Yeah.
making money
And
for doing
value.
a successful job, doing a perfect job, as
Yeah.
opposed to working for passion or for love
Yeah.
or for enjoyment.
Totally. Okay, here's my last wrap up question. We all, as parents, have hopes and dreams for our kids, and we want them to do well, whatever that is. How can parents hold up hopes and dreams for their children without making the kids feel that they're never enough? So, how can you build your kids up to aspire for greatness or whatever that means for them, but that they don't walk within this, I always need to be more and do more, and that I'm not enough?
I think that parents don't need to build them up as much as
Mm,
they think they do. I
sure.
think that that is intrinsic. You know, everyone wants to be the best that they can. No one wants to not live up to their internal potential. I don't think it has to be held and supported as like a I want to encourage you to do the best that you can, because I think there's no way of walking that fine tightrope and not falling into, oh, I need you to be successful. Everyone will find the drive and that passion on their own, in their own way, at their own time. And just supporting them and validating them and showing you that you love them unconditionally, it will allow that passion and that drive to grow naturally instead of it being pushed.
You're brilliant, Danny Lemoyne. Now, normally I ask where to find you, and I'm really glad that we can't find you because I think it's so fantastic that you're not on social media. So thank you
Nowhere.
for your insight. I told you as before we started, I really value your own perspective versus what I think that you're thinking. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Thanks for listening. Now, you can do your part and share this with somebody who wants to learn more about this toxicity of our achievement culture and how can we build our kids up, but not put so much pressure on them that really is killing our kids these days. You can click like on that little link below. You can subscribe to this channel for more interviews with real people and getting into perspectives of teens and just ways to get on your child's turf. I will see you next time. Leave a comment. I respond to everything.